Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Tihansky. I'm the CEO of Matia Robotics. Lisa Dunley and the entire committee selection to include us in this is a great honor, so we really appreciate the opportunity to tell our story about Matia Robotics. So first of all, the name Matia, it means gift of God, and I hope at the end of this presentation you can all appreciate why this is an appropriate name for our company. I also just want to pause for a minute and have a shout out to some local Utah-based organizations that have helped us along the way, and they've been invaluable to us over the past 6 months that I've been at the company. So we make a device. Let me stop this. I'll just talk through it. We make a device called the Tek RMD. It's the Robotic Mobility device. It allows people in a wheelchair to go from a seated to a standing position without the help of a caregiver, and this really changes lives. So let's just take a look at this video of some recent footage at a expo that we go to, where essentially this is for people with physical disabilities, primarily walking. So.
Wow. So tall. I haven't been at this level in 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I mean, I've been at this level, but stuck in one place. So to be able to move around at this level, I almost want to cry. I'm not going to, but I almost want to cry.
A little bit more? A little bit more? Okay, go ahead and squeeze that there and just pull yourself.
What my colleague is demonstrating there is our first generation device. We're on our second generation platform, and I could point out some of the differences in the two models as we go forward here.
For people like myself.
Yes. This is the coolest thing ever.
Okay. So what we like to talk about at Matia is we provide mobility and independence to people with walking disabilities. And so if you look at this, these pictures below, on the outside, the two outside pictures depict our indoor model, and the two inside pictures depict our newer version, which has a modular capability to go from indoor to outdoor mode, and so you can go out and walk on, or move about on pavements or grass or gravel, what have you. But it really allows people to be independent and not need a caregiver to transfer into our device and use it on a daily basis. So just a little bit about the history of the company. The company was founded in Istanbul, Turkey by two robotics entrepreneurs, and we have an operation there to this day. We first got CE mark clearance, and then ultimately two 510K clearances, and we established a U.S. operation here in Salt Lake City where we manufacture the Tek RMD just south of the airport, and that was in 2018. 2020, we were significantly impacted by COVID, the supply chain disruption. As you can imagine, there's a lot of software, hardware components, motors, and what have you that we're sourcing from all over the globe. And so the company went into a bit of a hibernation mode, and I'm happy to report that over the past 6 months, we've made tremendous progress on our supply chain challenges to the point where we're now back to manufacturing devices and hope to ship by the end of the month. So we are commercial stage. We have 2 manufacturing facilities, one in Istanbul and one here. We have a number of smaller regional-based dealers that call on this market. And then we have a number of global dealers as well that help us out internationally. And so we're looking to grow both the U.S. Distribution footprint as well as the international footprint. And that's a key focus of mine going forward. There are many published peer-reviewed articles on the clinical benefits of standing if you're in a manual wheelchair. Bone density, bowel and bladder improvements, respiration, circulation. One of the biggest ones is skin ulcers, pressure ulcers. And it's kind of interesting that the pressure ulcer market is actually bigger than the entire market for wheelchairs. So it's a huge clinical problem that we solve. We actually address all of these clinical issues with our device. But I would tell you in my time here, and this comes from somebody who has been in the medical device field for over 30 years, and I've done a lot of interesting things in my career, the psychological impact that this product has on people to allow them to be in a standing position and engage people eye to eye is just transformative. And so it's kind of a really special thing to be a part of. And I can tell you on a daily basis, whether it's the emails that come across the transom of people who need our product or our existing customers, the stories will stop you in your tracks. So this is the Tek RMD. It has a very narrow footprint, which allows it to navigate space seamlessly indoors and now outdoors. Importantly, you enter and exit the device from the rear, which makes the transition moving from the manual wheelchair to our device easy. This is not an easy thing for people with walking disabilities to do, to transition from one location to another. It has a remote control, so you can summon it when you need it. You can send it away when you don't. You can change the tires and go outside. This is something that was designed so that somebody in a wheelchair could change the tires on their own. The two pictures in the lower left of the slide depict our competition. These are stand-up electric wheelchairs. Some of the shortcomings of those current designs is that they have a very large footprint, so they don't navigate space easily. You have a back support and the head support, which sort of is behind you, and so that kind of limits your ability to move around with your upper body. You can see this one patient is kind of straining to reach for something. It also doesn't get you to a full vertical position, and you're not alleviating those pressure points on the skin because you're still in contact with the seat and the back. And so the Tek RMD was designed to address all of those shortcomings. So let me move to the market opportunity. The electric wheelchair market is approaching $3 billion, and it's growing at almost 10% annually. And our population of patients that we want to help are primarily spinal cord patients, people with MS. There's about 150,000 people living with MS today that are in wheelchairs, and then other conditions such as spina bifida, cerebral palsy, and other conditions that require someone to be in a wheelchair full time. And then on the right side is just sort of the mix of patients here in the US. We believe it's about a 3.6 million population of patients here that we could serve. The VA health system is obviously an important target market for us. We've sold in the VA system in the past, but we're making a much more strategic effort to do that going forward. So in this graph, if we look at the entirety of the wheelchair market, this is about a $9 billion market globally. And the right-hand side of this slide is about, as I said earlier, approaching $3 billion. So we're really interested in that customer in the lower left-hand quadrant in the manual wheelchair because they're a target customer for our device. These are people who are looking for electric options, whether it's a seated electric wheelchair, an elevated electric wheelchair, or a standing electric wheelchair. We think we have a great solution for them. Our device retails between $20,000 and $25,000, depending on the model. And so, just by comparison, the standing electric wheelchair in this image in the upper right, that is our closest competition, and some of the other pictures that I showed you earlier, that can retail for more than twice of what our device costs. So we feel we are very competitive in the market. In terms of the management team, we have two founders based in Istanbul, Turkey, that are involved in the business on a daily basis. We have very talented engineers in Istanbul. We do component manufacturing there. We have a small team here in Salt Lake City, where we do final assembly and QC and shipment globally, and where we don't have a lot of depth on the team in sales, marketing, reimbursement, what have you. We have some very capable consultants that we have brought in to help us with those things. And we have two very passionate angel investors who have funded the company from the outset, and they've been very patient and very supportive. And so we're looking to do a Series A round of $5 million that we believe will get us to profitability. As I mentioned, we have two manufacturing facilities, about 24,000 square feet between Istanbul and the US, and we can say that this is a US-made product. We're just south of the airport off of Bangalore Road. If anybody in the audience is interested in seeing what we do, we welcome guests, and we could put you in a Tek RMD and let you run around our warehouse. And just let me know, and we'll be happy to accommodate you. We have 3 issued patents in multiple jurisdictions in markets that you want to be when you're selling globally. So I think we have a good patent portfolio. This is maybe a more complex slide. It's perhaps the engineer in me just trying to stay organized. But I can tell you on any given day, we're focused on sales and marketing, reimbursement, innovation. We're already working on our 3rd generation device. We want to optimize our supply chain. I think there's ways we could do a design for manufacturability studies to lower the cost of goods sold. If we can lower the cost of goods sold, we can not only expand our margins, but we can perhaps lower the price and expand the market opportunity for more people who need our device. And then lastly, there's a foundation that we envision where we can provide funding for people who don't have the means to do it. So with payment options for people who need our device, as I said earlier, the VA does pay for our device. We just have to be more strategic about that. You can get reimbursement from workers' comp or Medicaid. And then there's a variety of foundations that support people in need of these types of devices. Medicare is very much a work in progress, but I would tell you the timing, I believe, is good. We have a consultant helping us, but there's importantly a broader audience of, it's called the ITEM Coalition. It's a well-funded, well-organized entity that's pressuring CMS to change their policy on stand-up wheelchairs, because currently Medicare doesn't recognize stand-up wheelchairs as a medical necessity, despite the fact that all the clinical evidence suggests otherwise. And so there's congressional support letters, and the timing might be right where we could see some movement from Medicare this year. Hard to say, but it's quite possible. This is our forecast for the next 2 years, and we break the revenue between new units and upgrade units of our existing devices where customers want to transition to our newer version. And we think we can get to profitability with very good margins sometime next year. As I said, we've raised $5 million to date, very sort of straightforward cap table. We're looking to raise $5 million, and we clearly know where we need to spend the money. My ask of the audience is that if you know investors or potential customers or other sources that might be able to help us, I welcome that feedback and would love to have that conversation with you. So this, I'll just leave you with this. This is a QR code that you can look at a bonus video because Matia Robtics love dogs. And so if you want to take your phone out and scan that QR code, you'll get a nice extra video bonus there for you. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Fascinating product. 2 questions. One, you talked about reimbursement, but where are you with private payers? Are they waiting on Medicare, or are they
I would say that that's the case. There are some coverage policies, but you have to really thread the needle.
Yep.
So our focus right now is on Medicare.
Okay.
Yep.
And are there any limitations for the length of time somebody can be in the device?
So we have customers that use it every day, all day. We have an orthopedic surgeon that uses it in surgery. When you first get into the device, you have to sort of work your way up to it because your circulation isn't quite there, and you might get lightheaded from not being in an upright position. The sad fact is, oftentimes when we're doing demos, the question we ask is, when was the last time you stood? And we get 2 answers. We get, I don't remember, and we get, just before my accident. So, as I said, they'll stop you in your tracks. Yeah.
So, what are the barriers to entry into this market? Because you have competitors. I couldn't tell whether you could sit and go from a sitting position to a standing position with your device. Can somebody come in and scoop you technologically?
Well, we think we have a great patent portfolio that protects us. There's a lot of know-how in terms of how you can make this efficiently, cost-effective, and reliably. And we're on our 2nd generation going to our 3rd generation. So I would tell you, certainly competition is always something we need to keep in mind. But I would tell you we have a great head start in terms of where we're at with the development of the product.